Welcome, my friends, to the Quantum Shamans presented by Moshi, the Ministry of Shamanic Healing and Integration, bringing you insights into the spiritual secrets of the mind and the universe around you. We are here to help you on your spiritual journey and path of healing. And now your hosts, David and Anthony.
Welcome to Quantum Shamans presented by Moshi. I'm Anthony.
And I'm David.
And today we have Miss Jodi Mueller, a.k.a. Jodi Hot Hands.
Hi.
Coming in straight from Sedona, Arizona. Jodi, we're so glad to have you here today and can't wait to hear about your story.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
Grateful as can be.
Yeah. Before we get started, David, if you could please read the Moshi vision statement.
Absolutely. The Ministry of Shamanic Healing aims to help individuals heal from spiritual maladies stored as energy in their subconscious that manifests in the form of trauma, PTSD, physical illness, mental health issues, and addiction. These practices include, but are not limited to, yoga, breathwork, meditation and mindfulness practices, Reiki, SWAT lodge ceremonies, and any other ritual healings we collectively decided to establish. We hold ritual ceremonies for our collective to heal, for a community to heal collectively in a safe space, and as well as individual ritual healing tailored to the members of our collective for the purpose of intensive inner work. Our most important responsibility is to help our members integrate their collective and individual experiences in order to ameliorate their spiritual maladies and spread love for the betterment of mankind. Our belief is that our collective consciousness is God. But every living organism has a purpose and is essential for homeostasis. From the single-cell organisms to the observable universe, we're all connected and equally important. We all deserve love, respect, peace, harmony, and forgiveness. Love is the most powerful force in the universe. Love conquers all.
Love conquers all. Good job, Dave. You're getting closer.
Yeah,
I know it's not easy. That's a lot of words to try to, especially when you're on camera, try to get into there. But you're getting it, man. I loved it. Good. That was so cool.
Got tripped off like twice.
That's okay. I love it. And then you mentioned in there Reiki, and that's Miss Jodi. You're a Reiki master, aren't you?
Not a master.
No, I say you are.
Yeah,
I worked with you.
Thank you. I started off with Reiki. I did take a Reiki 1 class. I did Reiki 2 class, and then I was gifted the rest of my gifts.
That's the best way to get them.
Yeah,
that's the best way to get them.
Yeah.
So you started off here. You started off living here in Ohio. You were here in Ohio.
Yeah.
But some shifts and things happened. So what happened? How did you end up where you're at now?
How'd you
in
become
Sedona?
a gypsy?
How'd you?
Become a gypsy? She jumped out, and I love her, and I hope she never goes away.
Yeah.
So I've lived in Ohio most of my life. I was around 40. I got really sick. Nobody could figure out what's wrong with me. I had a girlfriend call and say, go to this psychic fair. And I didn't believe in any of this. I'm like, all right, fine. I was trying to get off the phone with her. And I said, when is it? And she said, it's today. And I got off the phone. I wasn't leaving the house at this time. Got off the phone. I put my shoes and socks on. And I walked out the door, and it kind of shocked me, like something was pulling me, like, go. Walked out the door, and I showed up at a psychic fair, and I had my cards read. She started flipping cards, and she's like, you're really sick. And she grabbed my arm. She goes, nobody believes you. And I just started bawling. And she told me exactly everything I was going through. She said, don't eat gluten anymore. You have abilities. You're going to be working with crystals in your hands. And a little bit of me was thinking she's crazy. And then I'm also thinking, how does she know this about me? How did she know I couldn't remember how to drive anymore? I couldn't remember. I was having a hard time making sentences. I was just, I felt like I literally was dying. So I went there and I had Reiki done. And my girlfriend Patty's a Reiki master, and she did it on me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to pay you back. Like, how can I help you? So I volunteered for a couple years with their company. And then my marriage was kind of falling apart. My life was a little bit, it was very toxic. I thought I could save people. I always want to save everybody.
Yeah.
So I put everybody before me. And at one point, and this was like several years later, it was like, I don't know, 6 or 7 years later, I moved out of the house and I had a new girlfriend that said, hey, you can't live like this. You're depressed. Your anxiety is insane. And I knew I could do Reiki at this time. I knew I could do it. I didn't have a lot of confidence in it. And she said, come with me and do a meditation at the Positive Pineapple.
Mhm.
And I'm like, what's that? And she goes, well, it's meditation. She went to explain it to me. And I said, you know what? I don't even care. Whatever I can do to change this, I don't care.
Mhm.
So I met you guys. We walked into that room and my whole life changed that night. And it brought more abilities to me.
Pop the cork.
It did. Like a big cork.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. There's 3 of us that walked into that room. We had like a private group session.
Mhm.
And we walked in that room and the 3 of us women sat on one side and Anthony and Mary sat in front of us. And as soon as he started his chants, his prayers, I'm not sure what they're called, but my body started melting and I cried and cried. And at one point, I saw Mother Mary. So she came in behind me, and I normally don't see visions, but I'm going to get all the visions now. I'm going to get everything now. And she came in behind me, and she came around the corner, and her skin was just beautiful. It was like, I don't even know how to explain it. I'm not religious. I wasn't raised that way. But her skin was so pretty and her eyes glowed. And she just kept looking at me and she had the teal on and she kept turning her head. And all of a sudden I felt warmth go all over my body. All of my depression and anxiety went away. I started crying and I was laughing and I'm crying again. I couldn't figure out what just happened to me. And I opened up my eyes and I looked at them and I'm like, I love the ceiling. I love the floor. I love the walls. I love that candle. And I told them, I said, I just saw Mother Mary. She took everything away from me. I got super, super brave. I went home that night, and in the morning I woke up and I looked in the mirror, and I kept saying, who's in there? I started screaming it because I looked different, and my eyes looked different, and my skin almost glowed. And I feel like the Joker. I woke up with this smile and I'm trying to pull my cheeks down because my face hurt. And I'm living with my parents. I'm almost 50 and I'm screaming for my mom, Mom, come here. My mom comes running around the corner. She's like, what? I said, do I look different? She goes, you look happy. And I'm like, did I look like this yesterday? She's like, oh, no. And I couldn't figure out what happened, but I got super brave and I decided that I don't have to put up with anybody's stuff anymore. I don't have to be a people pleaser. I still like to be nice, but I can sugarcoat everything.
Yeah. That's a gift in itself.
It is. It is a good gift.
You're a little ball of sunshine.
I am. I feel it. My life completely. It was like in that room that night. Oh, I'm going to try not to cry.
It's okay if you do.
Thank you.
We're safe here.
In that room that night with you guys, my old self that pretty much was dying moved out of me. And something moved in, something beautiful, something, she's just ready to face the world. And, and I just needed to see things in a different light instead of saving them. I needed to save myself. So I got really brave and I didn't leave my house for probably around 8 years. Like I'd go places with my husband. And yes, I called him
husband. I caught that.
He was my husband.
Husband. Yeah.
It's better than ex.
Yeah, I like it. My husband.
Flow's a little better.
Yeah.
It sounds better. It's not. I feel like it's not so mean.
Well, you know how to sugarcoat everything.
I do. Sprinkle, sprinkle. So,
You didn't go anywhere for about 8 years except for with your husband.
yeah, like vacations. We would do family vacations, and he would take me places. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
And he just has his issues, and I also have mine,
Yeah, we all do.
Maybe not as much now that I switched into something else that I love. But I got really brave, and I decided that I was leaving. And I first went to Florida. I got there. I stayed there for 3 weeks with a really sweet girlfriend of mine, Pam. She's like a sister to me. And I sat on that beach, and I was doing really good with meditation. I'm going to get back into it. And I was able to sit on that beach and astro travel. I'm like, how am I doing this? I could not figure that out. And I thought, well, it's Florida. I need to stay here. So I started looking for apartments and jobs, and I heard, no, go west. I'm like, what? So it was like a big stop, stop and think. So I drove back to Ohio. I told my parents I was leaving. I gave my husband the divorce papers and waited for him to sign it. And I thought, in a couple days, I'm leaving. I'm going west. Nobody really believed me because I wasn't really leaving. Even to go into a restaurant, I wouldn't go into a restaurant by myself. Like, people had to come to the door and help me walk through the door to get in. I'm like, oh no, I got this. I got it all.
Make space for yourself.
Yeah. It was
Just
like
trying to fit in everyone else's.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was really, the awakening was huge. So I went home and I gave him the paperwork and I waited for him to sign it. But I packed 2 suitcases and my paddleboard and a box of food in my car so that as soon as he dropped off the paperwork, I would be able to just run out the door and start driving. And the urge to leave was huge. And I've always known Ohio's not the place for me. I love it. I love certain things about it. But I knew the weather-wise, it's not for me. So I've always talked about it. But he handed me those papers. I drove to the lawyers, dropped off my paperwork, and I started driving. I knew I was going to Santa Fe. That's all I knew. So I drove 15 hours the first day and 17 hours the second day.
Where did you go in the first 15 hours? Where'd you stop at?
I didn't stop anywhere. Like, literally, I stopped to just get there. Like, I would stop at truck stops and sleep at...
Take a little nap?
Yeah, or use the bathroom, whatever. And then I would just keep going because I knew there's something in Santa Fe that I needed to get to, but I just didn't know what.
Yeah.
So, a lot of times when I drive, though, I'm like, I'll turn left here. I'll turn right here. Like, I have no clue where I'm going. You don't want to ask me what road I'm on. I never know where I'm at. So I can tell you Taco Bell's on the corner or something like that. But even state-wise, I've actually driven to where I had to ask somebody, like, hey, where am I? And I think they think I'm kidding, but I'm just kind of
going with the flow.
Yeah, I'm just trying to follow. Like, I used to be a person where you would write down everything.
Yeah.
And it was a checklist every morning. And it was very funny because it would be like, clean the toilet, wash the dishes, do laundry. Like, why do I even need a checklist for that? And now I'm like, nope, I'm going to wing everything. So I pulled into Santa Fe. And the first place that I found, I asked somebody, I'm like, I'm not really sure. I've never been here before. I don't know where to go. And the kid I met, he looked at me and he goes, Loretto Church. You need to go there. And I'm like, well, what's that? And he goes, Miraculous Staircase. And I'm like, oh, because we watched a documentary on it probably 2 or 3 years before. And I said while we were watching it, I wanted to go there. And I was 6 minutes from it. And I said, oh, okay, so is there parking there? And he goes, no, you parked right here. Leave your car and walk down the road. I'm like, I'm that close? And it's this beautiful church with this staircase that has no nails, no saw marks, no screws, nothing. And the man that built it for the nuns in the 1800s, he disappeared after he built it. Like, he came in, said, you can't watch me build it, built it, and then disappeared afterwards. So I walked into that church. And that was my first, healing, after going to you guys. I walked into that church, and it was like I could feel all my angels and maybe God and Yeshua and Mary and all of them. I felt them just grab onto me, and my feet sank into the floor. And then it was like they were trying to help me heal. Like I could feel them all. I don't know. I have a team of them now. I think I think I pick up angels everywhere I go, like an extra angel here, an extra angel there.
Yeah, they're spirit guides.
Yes, yeah. And it was like, what I've noticed is everywhere I go, there's people and things waiting for me. And it's beautiful. Like, it brings me so much, this life brings me so much joy. So, but yeah, so I ended up there first.
So that sounds so. Just as you were talking about it, I could feel Dave too. We were both like, "Ooh!" Did you feel that? The guy shows up. You can't watch me build it. It's very special and specific. It's almost like he didn't build it with conventional building techniques. Kind of like like we see those kind of things with like megalithic structures all over the planet and everything. So that sounds really cool and mystical.
Yeah, it was beautiful. And I thought it was crazy that the first place I went to was a documentary me and my husband watched. And we actually talked about going there, but we never wrote down where it was. I had no clue. I thought it was in another country. I mean, it's just beautiful there. But that was the first place I was taken. Yeah, and I listened. I followed. I quieted my mind, and I listened. And I was doing very good. I was doing my breath work every day.
Good.
And even in my car, because I was sleeping in my car, and I got in trouble because my mom was not happy with me sleeping at truck stops. Nobody really was, but I was safe.
Yeah.
And so
Divinely guided.
Divinely guided, yeah.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I do. I feel the pull. I feel the pull of them, and they tell me every day kind of where to go and what to do. I will tell you every day I wake up not knowing where I'm going or what I'm doing that day. And some days I feel like I have to just drive like a lot, and I go places. So
you're a line connector. That's why we've talked about this before a little bit. What did you do after that? After that situation, after that experience?
So
is this in Texas or
this is in let's see, Santa Fe is
New Mexico.
So I went there first, and then I actually went to.
That's where that staircase was. It was in New Mexico.
Yes,
okay.
And the whole bottom. If you look it up, it's the most beautiful thing. Loretto Church, and the whole bottom of the staircase is one piece of wood, which I can't figure out how big this tree was, but it's spirals, so it goes all the way down. It is. It's breathtaking. Absolutely breathtaking.
Sounds like a field trip, David.
Yes.
It is. Oh, yes. Yeah. Let's get a big bus.
I don't know that I've
ever
been to New Mexico.
Me either.
Oh, let's go on.
I like the desert. So.
Yeah, me too.
After that, what I decided was anybody that said, "Hey, you should go here, you should go there," that I would stop at. And a friend of mine said, "Go to." I may say it wrong. O Al Caliente, and it's healing spas, hot springs, and it's at a resort in New Mexico. So I headed that way, and I did they had all different kinds of healing spas, or like ponds, I guess you would call them. And the one was a mud bath. So you literally take the mud and you just put it head to toe all over you, and then you lay in the sun until it crusts up. And I'm laying there, and there's all these people around, and I'm excited because I used to be my old self. I was very quiet. Once I got comfortable, I would talk, but I didn't really throw myself out there to meet people. I had a very small group of friends that I love, but it wasn't like I threw myself out there to talk. So this life, I want to talk to everybody. So as I'm sitting there in that mud bath, so a lady said, "Oh, I just got a download for you." And I got my smile on all the time. It never turns off. And I'm like, "You do?" And I'm thinking, what's a download? But I really didn't want to ask her, what's a download? And she goes, "Are you open?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I'm open. I'm open to whatever you have to tell me." And she looked at me and she goes, "You have to go to Mount Shasta." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'll put it on my list, just bubbly, whatever. And she got real close to my face and she says, no, you are needed in Mount Shasta. And it sent full body chills. I just got them again now.
Yeah.
Full body chills all up and down my body. And I'm like, I'm needed there? Ooh, it almost makes me want to cry because I love being needed.
Yeah.
I love nurturing. I love things like that. And I'm like, I'm actually needed somewhere. Mm-hmm. And the man that was sitting in the mud bath with us, he looks at me and he goes, that's crazy. I got that same download for her. And I thought, okay, this is important. So I asked them, I said, well, when will I know? And they just said, we don't know. You'll know. Mm-hmm. You'll know when it's time. So I spent the day there and I left and I headed to Pagosa Springs, Colorado after that. And the reason I went to Pagosa Springs is because I was driving down the road and I stopped to get gas and I was in line to go to the bathroom with all these ladies. And this lady is looking at me and I'm smiling. So I just decided to ask her questions. I'm like, what's your favorite place around here and stuff? Mm-hmm. Pagosa Springs. Okay, that's my next stop. Now, mind you, I had to go a completely different way than I was going, mm-hmm. but I'm like, what makes the difference? And I thought I was on vacation. So, I put those 2 suitcases and my paddleboard in my car and the box of food, and I literally thought I'd be gone, maybe a month or 2. But I honestly thought I was on vacation. And so I went to Pagosa Springs. As soon as I walked in, I'd been sleeping in my car for days. For some reason, I wanted to get a cabin. I'm like, all right, I'll do it. I'll splurge and get a little cabin. And the guy at the front desk, he was, I think he was the first person I worked on energy-wise, which at the time it was only Reiki that I know of. But when I walked in there, he was on night shift, and he's a nice young kid, and I started talking to him about spiritual things, and then he started to open up a little bit, and I said, because I wasn't sure how to approach it. I'm like, can I put my hands on you?
Yeah.
I have issues saying that because I wasn't sure. I get so excited when I can feel like, oh, yes, I'm supposed to work on this person. I'm supposed to try to help them open up to something. So he walked around the corner of his desk and he looks at me and he's like, yeah, okay, you can do it. So I had him flip his hands over and I just connect on his meridian lines and I just did some breath work with him. I actually taught him a lot of our breath work that you do. Mm-hmm. And then I started breathing into him through my hands. And when he was done, he opened his eyes and he's like, whoa. And I'm like, yeah, right? Because I can feel it now. It's so strong. And he goes, I have to tell you something. And I said, yeah. And he said, I have a form of autism. I don't let people touch me. He goes, I never let people touch me. And he goes, I'm not sure why I let you touch me. And he goes, but I'm glad I did. And I could feel something shifted right there for him. And I knew that the reason I was in Pagosa Springs was to help him. At least that's what my body told me. Mm-hmm. I was there for that. I also went and down in Pagosa Springs, it's beautiful. Have you guys ever been there before? Mm-hmm. Okay, so there's a river that comes through and people do the whitewater rafting and stuff. But on the edges, there's these ponds of water and they're 116 degrees. But they're very healing. So across the river, you can see one of the hotels has it and you can pay and get into it. Well, you can do it for free on the side of the road. So why not do that? So I jump in and there's this older man there. Sorry if I'm jumping around. But there's this older man there, and he actually died 5 or 6 times. The last time he died, and he actually brought a homeless boy home with him, and he saved him that night, and he never seen him again. He had another heart attack or a stroke. He got him to the hospital, and then he disappeared. Well, he woke up as a 5-year-old, and all he could do was ask why, questions, constant why, and he couldn't make sentences. And so every day he'd go down to those healing spas, those hot springs, and he would drink the water. And he couldn't make sentences. So somebody actually told me about him. I'm like, all right, I'm going to be here tomorrow. I'm going to wait for him. I walk in tomorrow, I get in the hot tub, and here he is. And he's just picking up this water. Mind you, the day before, there's like 12 teenagers in it. And I'm watching him pick up this water, and he's drinking it. And I'm like, oh.
Uh-oh.
And it smells like eggs, from the sulfur. Mm-hmm. And he starts telling me who he is. And I'm like, oh, I heard about you. And he starts telling me his story. And as he's talking like us.
Uh-huh.
Like, you can tell there's nothing wrong with this man. And he said he healed himself in these springs. So he's like he had me cover my whole body, and it was like black tar. But you could go down in there and cover your whole body, and it has healing properties in it. So I had my face covered, my everything covered. And then he's like, now drink the water. I'm like, oh, gross. I'm like, nope. And he's like, no, seriously.
And so I did.
I did.
I did.
I
would too.
Help it. I know. I'm
so
like,
bad.
well, why?
Yeah, I totally would.
Oh my gosh.
Where's the straw?
Exactly. It tastes like rotten eggs. And And I keep picking it up and just kind of pouring it into my mouth. And I don't know. It was beautiful the way my skin felt. But to listen to his story, and he died that many times, and he wasn't supposed to be able to talk like a normal adult. Like they actually said he would stay like that from, that 5-year-old that came out in him.
Mm-hmm.
But he healed himself. So I'm to the point where I will try anything as long as it's safe, and I know it's not going to hurt me. I'm not afraid of I hate to say that. I'm not afraid of anything anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm brave now. So
yeah, what's to be afraid of?
Exactly.
You've never been born and you'll never die. So that eliminates all that fear. So that's already gone. The rest, we're just here for experience.
And it is kind of crazy, even when you said, we'll, never die. I used to be afraid of dying.
Mm-hmm.
I have no fear at all anymore. And I feel like the ones that have passed that we love, they walk with us.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like they're still here. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. It's all one thing.
Yeah.
It's all technically right now there's only one of us in the room.
Yeah.
Technically.
Which one of us?
It's all one.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's an amazing story, and that goes a long way because I can agree with all those things. I mean, I myself had terminal illness to where they said, hey, you can't recover from this.
Right.
I work with people all over the globe all the time, and they'll tell me, well, that what I have is incurable.
Exactly.
And I'm like, well, I'm not saying anything about cure. I'm saying heal.
Mm-hmm.
And healing and cure are two different things for me.
Right.
Healing is if you can improve 1%.
Yes.
That's healing.
Yeah.
And if you can go 1%, can you go 2,
Mm-hmm.
3, 5, 15? How far can it go? And it all starts with our belief system. So he believed he could go there and receive the healing from that. And water's so amazing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I could feel it. The energy. It was almost like sitting in like electricity.
And all that heat's like geothermal. Mm-hmm. So lots of Pachamama energy and Saiwa coming up, and they're very powerful. Yeah. I'm sure it felt amazing. I could feel it through you. I could feel the.
Oh my gosh!
I could feel that. Plus the interaction with him, teaching you not to be afraid.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Exactly.
Don't be afraid.
And
Jodi.
I will tell you, my old life, I was afraid of everything.
Yeah.
Like I love my children, and I was a little overbearing. I was like helicopter mom, you know? Like I can't go back now, but to give them a little bit more freedom, or to teach them stuff like what we're learning now. Like I wish I was able to teach my children that when they were younger, so because this is such a gift to know that this even existed. But I left in February after our session.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to Pagosa Springs. I drove forever. Let's say I went to Mesa, and I met a lot of people. I throw myself out there. So and the paddleboard, I brought my paddleboard. We'd paddleboard with all these new people. And then I'll tell you, when I pulled into Sedona, I knew I was going there. Ooh, just saying the word, like
Sedona.
It's my community now.
It's a wonderful place. Now that's a place I've been and I really enjoy.
Yeah, me too.
It is, it's very magical there. As soon as I pulled down the main road, and I think I know the name of this road. I think it's 89A.
89A.
89A. My whole body turned on. It was, like I've always felt a little bit of vibration, but this was like, whoa. And I'm like, whoa, what is that? I could feel it head to toe. And, I knew that it was special there. You know, I was there one other time with my husband and the kids, and we stayed for 2 days, I think it was. But we did the touristy stuff, you know. And this time I'm there by myself, living in my car. I actually lived on, I think it's called the 525 for a week before. Like I said, I thought I was on vacation. And I'm sleeping in my car, and in the morning I hear this weird sound, and I'm like, what is that? Scared the crap out of me. It's like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. And I jump, and I'm like, okay. And I get out of my car, and I look, and it's hot air balloons.
Oh.
And they're all around my car, and they're literally maybe 20 foot in the air. And I'm like, good morning, good morning. And I'm like talking to them. They're talking to me. They're like, where
It's like
are
a
you
Disney
from?
movie.
It is.
It
It's a
is.
wonderful movie.
It
I love
is.
Jodi's movie.
It is. And the noise I heard, so I jump around a lot, so you got to get used to
No,
this.
please. I love the way that it comes through you.
I'm-
It's
please.
like
I'm there as she's telling me.
Yeah, I have, like, it's funny because it's almost like all the stories are jumping in, like, tell me first, tell me. And it's like, okay, give me a second. But, so the hot air balloons are all around me, and they're just like, where are you from? What are you doing? I'm like, this is so cool. I'm like, and so the night before, I had somebody tell me, be careful out there because there's beings, and you'll hear them, but if you cross paths with them, don't get near them. I'm like, okay. Now, mind you, I'm newer to all of this stuff. So she's telling me there's beings on this road, and there's just sacred grounds.
Right.
So I'm thinking, she goes, you'll hear them. So when I heard that noise in the morning, it was them filling up the hot air balloon. Whoosh, you know that
Yeah,
noise?
it's propane.
Well, I'm thinking it's that big being that I'm watching for. That's what I jumped for. So when I saw the balloons, I'm like, no way, this is so cool. I love my life. Yeah, I'm pooping in the desert.
That's okay. Got to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I'm having the time of my life. And I still, at this time, I'm thinking I'm on vacation. So, anyways, I wake up to that every morning. And I'm like, okay, this is great. And people are calling me, we feel so bad for you. You're sleeping in your car. Don't feel bad for me.
Like, I love it.
Yeah, this life is so different than my old life. It's things I would never have thought I could do, you know, and I am. So then I kind of started going around to the wineries and the restaurants and the hotels and the mystical shops, and I'd introduce myself to everybody. Or if I was like on the paths, so Boynton Canyon, I'd walk around Boynton Canyon, and all of a sudden in Boynton Canyon, there's a vortex there. There's several vortexes, obviously,
That's
in
one
Sedona.
we went to when we were.
Oh, that's one of my favorite ones. Like Robert the Flute Man is there. If you guys ever get to go, you want to sit with him. He comes every morning at 10 o'clock in the morning, and he's 70.
Robert the Flute Man?
Yeah. And
I think I saw some of the videos on your Instagram
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
He was really interesting. Very
He is.
powerful being as well.
Yes. Yeah, he plays, he told me he plays Reiki through one of his Indian flutes for the land. So he comes and does prayers every morning. He used to
Wonderful.
do it twice a day. And
Connecting into the grid.
yeah, the first time I saw him, I actually was running to get up there. And I don't run, by the way. And I'm like,
Only if it's the Flute Man.
yeah, exactly.
Flute Man!
Yeah, and I'm trying to get there before he's done, and he finished. And I went, no. And he goes, don't worry, I'll be back tomorrow. And he goes, if you want, you can go up there with me tomorrow. And I'm like, really? Like, I've never done anything like that. I don't know if I can get up there. He's like, you can get up there. He goes, I'm 70. I get up there. I'm like, all right. So he came back the next day, and I was waiting. I was there 2 hours early. Like, just wait. I was not missing this opportunity. And he did. He took me up there. He goes, left hand here, right hand here, left foot here, right. And he took me all the way up there. And mind you, the day before, a bunch of us tried to climb it. None of us could get up there. I'm like, okay, he got me up there, and it's this little, maybe 8 by 10 area of a rock. I mean, it's tiny. We're way up there. It's called Warrior Rock. So I think it's Warrior Rock on the left-hand side, and right-hand side is Coconino. So it's male-female vortex. And he got me up there, and I sat down and looked around. All of a sudden, I panicked, and I grabbed him. I said, don't you dare leave me up here. Because all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, my God, how am I getting down? It was almost like the old Jodi pop back in for a second.
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe you just did this.
Yeah.
And so he calmed me down. We both were really good, but and then he just wanted to talk, and he'd play his flute and then talk to me and tell me some stuff about the 3D world, 4D, 5D, which I didn't understand at the time. Like I said, all of that was new. And he was showing me things in the sky, and it was very neat. So I go back every once in a while, and he takes me up there. And the last time I went up there with him, it was, I didn't get to this part yet, but when I got back from Mount Shasta, and they gifted me some extra gifts. And so I asked him if I could work on him. And I was very grateful. It was a privilege. He let me put my hands on him. And I worked on him, and I saw his eyes roll back in the back of his head, and I'm like, oh, shoot, I killed him. Just for a second, I'm like, oh, my God. Because I wasn't sure, like, what just happened. And I said,
I've had that happen.
Yes. And I'm like, oh, my God. Because he wasn't talking, but I could see his eyes were just kind of rolled in the back of his head. So I finally just went, are you okay? And he goes, yeah, give me a second. And he's like, I just got to take this in. I'm like, okay.
Downloading.
Yeah. So he actually took me to the female side and put me inside one of the wombs. And in that womb, he told me he was taking me over there. I knew he had things to do, and I told him he didn't have to. But he's like, no, I want to. One of my things I'm trying to release is feeling like a burden. And it's hard to, like, if somebody wants to help me, I'm like, no, you don't have to help me. I got this. You know what I mean? Like, but I know that I have to accept. So thank God I did. And he put me in that womb, and he took out his flute, and he started using his flute while I was in that womb. And I could feel things open and release. And he spent some time with me, and then when he left, it was crazy. This was one of my first experiences of having somebody send people to me. I was still up in that womb, and when I finally came out, there were people standing there, and they're like, there she is! And I'm like, what? And he started sending people up there, and that's when I realized I was told that some of my gifts are I'm a healer of healers, and that I can help the healers. And that woman that yelled, there she is a Reiki master, and she just lost her mom. And she said, everything shut down. I'm not able to function. She said her heart was shut down. Her mind was shut down. And I once again, I'm like, with my smile, can I put my hands on you? And so I took her to the womb, and I put her in the womb. And it was I felt her mom all around us. And then I guess I channeled a little bit. Like, it comes and goes. And but that was a beautiful experience. Anyways, I slept for a week on the side of the road, and everybody's like, I'm so sorry that you're doing this. Don't be sorry. Great life. I decided that it was time to move on from Sedona. Like, I met all these people. Everybody was super nice and inviting. I fit in there. I could feel it. Like, it was home. So my one girlfriend called, and I said to her, you know, Sedona, which I think is a woman, I said, she loves me, and she's not letting me go, but I have to leave tomorrow. If I'm going to keep going, I have to leave tomorrow. I'm leaving at 4:30. So at 4:30 in the morning, I was driving down Dry Creek Road, and I hit a rock. And at 4:35, my tire exploded, and I'm still in Sedona. I sat on the side of the road for almost 3 hours. People just kept going by. I'm like, okay, I don't know how to change a tire, And it literally exploded off the rim. And so someone finally stopped and helped me. He was a nice kid. He actually reminded me of my children. And when I told him my name, he goes, my mom's name is Jodi. And I said, I think you need to call your mom. I think you need to check in on her. I still haven't been able to find him since then. Like, he disappeared. But I went to the laundromat. He changed my tire. I dropped my car off. I went to the laundromat, and at that laundromat, I met one of my best friends there. He's very spiritual. Him and his dog were there, and I told him what happened. His name's Kevin. I told him what happened, and his dog Nala was the sweetest dog. You could tell this dog's soul knew me. I knew her, and I felt very comfortable with Kevin. Like I said, he's family. He's like you are, and now you are to me. Like I have family, soul family. But he said, have you ever heard about tires exploding in Sedona? I'm like, no. And then he's like, that's how she keeps people. There's books and there's movies. She wants you to stay. And I'm like, oh, she does?
No kidding, right? Are you serious?
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, twist my arm. Yeah. So I was so excited. I'm like, she wants me to stay? And he invited me down to where he was camping, and I got in the river with him, and we started talking, him and Nala, and he just started telling me stuff about me and some of my past lives and things, and everything felt right. So, yeah, he was one of the main reasons I ended up staying, and I threw myself into the community, and now I know tons and tons of people.
Yeah, because Jodi throws herself out there with the hot hands. I did have one question that kind of came through because, you put your hands on a lot of people now. Yeah. How often do people say, don't touch me?
I don't have that many people that do. I will say at the beginning, I had to figure out a way of rewording it because it was, I'm sure it was like, people were like, what? But I've probably had maybe 5 or 6 people, not very many. At first, I will say I was offended at first, and I was like, "What was that?" Because in my mind and heart, I just want everybody to feel like I do since I saw you guys. Like that switch was so beautiful. I want everybody to experience.
You were ready for it, though.
Yeah,
right? You were ready for it. So the people have to be ready. If they're not ready, they can't do it.
Yeah, and that's
you just freak them out.
And that's what I didn't understand. Yeah. I thought I didn't realize I was ready. I thought everybody
sledgehammer, Jodi.
Yes. I thought everybody just had maybe a little light switch, and I just kind of go around and go ding and turn their light switch.
Everybody does, but they're guarding it. They won't become free, but that's a normal thing.
Well, and so I had 5 or 6 of them, and I got used to it. Like, I'm okay with it, and I always tell them, I respect that when you're ready, if you ever want it. And I try to, with all the locals and everybody that lives in Sedona, it's my community. I want it to be better. Like, I want the light to come in there. I want the happiness. I want the joy. I think I'm there because of the tourist. And when I work on them and I say, can I put my hands on you? I feel like they're able to take that back to their home.
Systemic.
And
correct.
Spread it.
Correct.
Because a lot of times when I do, I'll open up my eyes. They'll have my smile on their face.
Smile. That's
my
exactly
smile.
right. Like, oh, it's infectious.
Oh, I've got.
Look what you got.
Told that so many times.
Smiles are always infectious. Just smile. It helps everything.
And it's just like the smile, the giggle, like all this came back to me when I was when I woke up in the room with you. When my journey, I feel like my life started over. My journey started. So all good things
It
are
did.
here.
It totally did. I remember it happening. I could remember feeling it happen. And me and you have talked a little bit. Like, you're really good friends with Mary, so you guys
I
talk.
love
So I get to hear
Cookie.
lots of stuff, but not everything.
Yeah.
But to watch your awareness about, hey, I have this awareness. Like, if I put my hands on someone, they take it with them. That aligns completely, like, with the teachings of the Pakakuna tradition, because we work in something called the Siki Nan, and what the Siki Nan is essentially like the meridian lines of the planet, or of the entire cosmos, or the grid system, the living grid system. At a deeper level, I perceive it more as like a nervous system of living energy, like a root system that connects in everything. Mycelium. Yeah. So everything kind of connects that way. So by you're actually injecting light into those places. And how we've talked before, we download off of each other.
Yes.
We have awarenesses that happen. Even though you're in Sedona, I'll know something.
Yeah.
And I'll ask Mary, hey, what's going on with Jodi?
Yeah.
She'll go, oh, I'm like, and she'll start to tell me, and I'm like, I knew something was happening.
Because I call you guys a lot.
Yeah.
Like,
You have awarenesses to deposit. Like, you'll say, I know I have something that's for Tony. You'll say things like that. I'm like, she does.
and I still have my own, I still have struggles, you
Yeah.
know.
We all do.
So when I do struggle, it is very funny because my mind and body, the first thing it does is call for you and Mary. And, like, I call and call, like, maybe telepathically. But, yeah, I can feel it. Like, I do feel the downloads, and I don't understand them when they come,
Yeah.
you know. But, yeah, I get them. I feel like I'm a conductor. Like, I get them, and I'm supposed to take them to other people. So if that makes sense.
Well,
right?
you're meant to become. So, like, you're in a transitional phase. I can feel that. Like, right now, you're moving into a transition. You're really good at radiating energy. But just like how you said earlier in the podcast, I'm working through some things where I'm learning how to be open to receive.
Yes.
So that means an absorber. This will improve your flow. Where you're at now will seem small compared to where you'll grow and go into,
can't wait.
because of the flow of your light. But it can't happen all at once, because you have to go through these stages, because if it happens all at once, it creates chaos, it creates fear. And that happens to a lot of people. There's a lot of people that are in, like, mental institutions, medicated, all kinds of things, that are just having levels of spiritual awakening that can't be explained by our healthcare system.
Right.
So it's different in this situation. You're aware, like how you said, you were just open. What happened is those lines connected to you at our place, and then you took them off into the world. That's why you're called, I got to get out into the world, because it left behind. Like you said, something of me got left behind. Like, you stripped away all that hoocha, and then who you really are was like, hey, I'm free. Yeah, I'll never forget. That was an amazing, beautiful thing, and now your journey's continuing.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And you've been so many places. How about that? Here's a cool question.
Yeah.
How many days total? So when did this start? I can't even remember when this started. When was our session? I don't even remember when that was.
I think it was, we talked about it last night.
It was like winter time.
February 26, 2022. Because one of the girls last night was like, we should look up astrologically and see
good
what
idea.
that date
I love
was. And I'm like, okay, we got to figure that out, because that would be really good information, because I literally was reborn that night.
Yeah.
Like, everything was washed away from me. And I will say, like, from that night, Mother Mary sits with me. I always feel her, and she's always sitting on this side of me. And when I finally made it to Mount Shasta, I received Magdalene, and she sits on this side. And I always have those two women, those two strong, powerful women with me all the time. But it started in your house.
Yeah.
You know?
We've had
Yeah.
many women come there and have connections with Mary and Mary Magdalene.
Yeah.
In our space. It's just part of our archetype, I think, of the energetic system of women.
Yeah. The pureness. She gave me such a pure heart. Like, my old self, I judged a lot. You know, I judged, and, you know, not saying I was better, but there's certain things I didn't want to be around and do. But now I'm like, I know I'm not better than anybody else. I don't judge anybody. And if I hear it, my body, like somebody else doing it, my body just cringes.
Yeah, you don't feel the need to be better than anyone
No.
else. The ego mind doesn't feel bad about itself, where I have to judge to make myself feel better.
Exactly. We're all equal, and
Yeah, well, same thing.
I have noticed that when I do hear it happening, I will jump in and stop it.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'll jump in and I'll try to say, well, just think of that person's situation. Like, so I'm trying
Being
to
empathic.
Yeah, and
I
let people
understand
know,
you.
like, you're not, you shouldn't be doing that. Like, this is the way, like, I'm trying. I'm trying to help that way. But,
Oh, the question. I didn't get to.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I answer it?
No. I just remembered it again. So that's only like, so that's February 2022, you said?
Mm-hmm.
That's only like a year and a couple months.
Yeah.
Like so much has happened.
Yeah.
Hundreds of years of evolution have happened.
Yeah.
So the question is since then, how many nights did you sleep in your car, do you think?
Oh, my gosh.
If you had to count. Because I've only slept in a car maybe 20 times in my life. I was homeless for a little
my
bit and slept in a
gosh.
car. But it wasn't every day for a long period of time. In the desert, It's cold at night in the desert,
yeah,
too.
It does. I go back and forth and I rent rooms, but I would say a total of 4 or 5 months.
Total?
Yeah.
So,
And maybe being like, because I get called a lot of places. I'll hear places to go and I'll get my car and just start driving. And sometimes people even offer me rooms and I'm like, it's nice to have my own space once in a while. So like even when I rent a room, I'm renting a room out of somebody's house right now.
Yeah.
So I'm sharing a bathroom, I'm sharing space. So someone will say, you can sleep at my house. And sometimes I'm like, no, my car's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
It's quiet in here. Like I don't have to worry about it. But I would say 4 or 5 months.
So that's like 150 days. That's 150 sleeps in a car.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's just,
And you love it.
I do love it.
I'm sure there had to been times where it was challenging. Was there challenges at times? Like, I don't want to keep sleeping in this car.
Yes.
The mind runs away.
Okay,
What am I doing?
so-
Question yourself, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah.
I'm sleeping in a car in the desert.
It does pop back.
But I'm happy.
Yeah, sometimes when it's really cold, I'm not good with cold. I'm trying.
Yeah.
And
I don't like how you gave me the eye.
Do you just put your driver's side?
so I have a
Down.
I have a Highlander, a 2015 extra long Highlander. So I lay it down and then I put my yoga mats down and I put a cushion from like a Chase lounge down.
Oh, okay.
And I sleep on that. The hardest part is crawling over the seat to get back there and back and forth. I'm getting old. I may not look it, but I'm getting old. My body's like, I'm done doing this.
But look, it keeps you limber because you have to go through
It
the act of
does.
getting in there.
It does.
Keep doing it.
I'm looking for
A bit
for a
somewhere
van
you can
right
walk,
now.
yeah.
Yes,
van.
yes. Because I know my travels are not done yet, and I know there's places I'm called to go to.
Yeah.
So I am looking for that.
So
But
we'll call that out into the universe. Anybody that has a van they'd like to give Jodi, please give it to her. Thank
my
you.
goodness, I would love that. Yeah.
Or can point her
Already
there.
pimped out.
Yeah, exactly. And as long as it's warm in there,
Yeah.
I just need somewhere warm. But I have work to do. Like I know what I'm doing is
Yeah.
helping humanity.
Sure is.
And that's what I feel like I've always just wanted to be in service. And this, I feel like I'm planting the seeds. Well, they told me I'm planting seeds, and it's always of love, light, peace, calm, joy. I started adding more to it. I've noticed, and when I work on people, and the like afterwards, I get really good responses, and it excites me. Like I'm helping so much. Like I don't know. That's just my goal is to help people. But I'll tell you when the Mount Shasta thing.
Yeah.
So I didn't know when I was supposed to leave for Mount Shasta. And I'm in Sedona. I'm already meeting everybody and becoming family with everybody there. And I have a real close group of girlfriends that took me camping. And they're used to my awkwardness. They're not quite as developed as I am in my spiritual stuff, but they're definitely getting there and working on it. And one night I'm camping with them and I heard it's time. And I panicked. I could feel it. Get me out of here. Get me out of here. And I'm like, okay. So I'm trying to listen to my body and I left them. We were all camping. I think we were in San Diego. I get confused where we were, but I think we were camping in San
Oh, you've been everywhere.
I know. I'm like, so I left them and at the point they didn't understand what's going on. I probably didn't explain it good enough because I wasn't sure how to explain it. And I started driving and I drove down one of the roads called the One. and it's going through redwood forest, and I knew I was going to Mount Shasta because that's where I was called. So as I was going up through there, I love mannequins and murals, and so I stopped to take all that stuff, and animals like cows, and anytime I see animals, so I had to stop and see the cows, and all of a sudden I'm driving down the road and I see this brick building and it's got chakra system and eyeballs on it, and I turned my car around right away so I could take pictures with it. And I see a building to the right of it, and I see Mother Mary like in front of the building. So I just walked over there, and there are people there. So I introduced myself, and they were so nice, and they started reading me, and I'm like, oh, I do energy work, whatever. So they turn around, and the one man goes, do you know what this place is? And I'm like, no. And they're like, it's a commune. And I knew a commune was like where people live. That's all I really knew about it. And in my mind, I'm going, please ask me to live here. Please ask me to live here. And he goes, Jerry Garcia and his wife started this commune before the Grateful Dead band. And I'm like, what?
Wow.
And then they filled my hand with weed, and I'm like, what's going on? And they're like, you can come back anytime you want. Like, it was crazy. They just kind of took
going
me
there,
in.
too.
Yeah, they took me in, and then they told me to go sit by the creek. And so anyways, I made it to Seattle to see my kids from there, but that was one of my stops in the Redwood Forest. Just amazing energy there. And so I went through the whole area, and I'm not sure if it's Oregon or Oregon, but I went.
I think it depends if you live there or you don't live there.
Okay.
I think the people that live there call it Oregon.
Oregon. Okay.
And I think the people like where I live here, we call Oregon.
Yes. I'm like,
I'm going over there to Oregon. And people that live there are like, no, it's Oregon.
Yeah.
Like it's like Oregon with an extra syllable.
Okay. So Oregon.
Oregon.
So I was there. I went through there. I stopped at something called the Grotto. I didn't even know what I was doing there, but I'm called to go into churches. And like churches. I said, I wasn't raised religious.
Yeah.
And we hardly ever went to church. We'd go for like, if we had to, it would be a wedding or something like that. But now it's like my body's drawn to go in.
Same.
I need to walk around it. I need to feel the bricks on the outside. I need to absorb everything.
I love stained glass. I pick up lots of fractal and energy. Yeah. Gazing into stained glass.
Yes. I love that.
And bricks, rock.
Yeah. So I went into something called the Grotto. Maggie actually told me to stop there, and I just thought it was a church. And as soon as I walked up, there's this gold symbol. I love gold. I love anything gold. And it had like a crown and an M and an S on it. And I took my shoes and socks off and I stood on it and my whole body vibrated. And then I felt the download happen. I felt for me, what I feel is it's almost like my brain cracks open. My crown opens.
Whoop.
It opens up and then I feel like a tornado. Whoosh, whoosh. And it's like it's pouring into me. And I'm like, whoa. So I went in and I asked the man at the counter, I said, what is that? What's that symbol? And he goes, you don't know what that symbol is? He's like, and you're here? I'm like, no. And he goes, it means the servants of Mother Mary. And I'm like, what? Like, seriously? And they have an elevator. You can go all the way to the top of this. It's like a mountain there. So the church is at the bottom, and then you go to the top, and they have a meditation room that looks over the city. And they have like a rose garden. And I don't slow down for anything. I know I keep getting yelled at. It's like, sit still, sit still. I don't want to sit still. I want to go around and put my hands on people. And so I see the rose garden, and something in me decided that I was going to smell one rose on each plant that day. It took me forever. And I didn't realize every single rose has a different smell. Like on, not the same plant, but each plant smelt different.
Yeah.
But I think it was a way of slowing me down a little bit.
Stop and smell the roses.
Yeah. And I took my shoes off and I just soaked all that in. But I went up to see my kids after that in Seattle. And then I went down to Mount Shasta. When I pulled into Mount Shasta, it was the beginning of September, and they were right. I didn't know when I was supposed to go there, but I went there at the perfect time. So it was the full moon. And they only keep the mountain open, which I didn't know this either. They only keep the mountain open till October 1st. So it's open from June to October. So I slept on top of that mountain for 5 days under the full moon light. And there were people there waiting, and they took me, when I got to town, they took me to sacred places. Lots of downloads, Ascension Mound and Doorway at Telos, and I think it's called Jagger Flats. I can't remember the name of it, but they took me all over the place, and we did healings there. I was healing people there, and they were healing me. The one man, Pierre, he was so sweet, and he's like, I would like to show you the Doorway to Telos. And I'm like, okay. I don't know any of this stuff. And when I walked in, we're standing there. I met him there, and he's a very safe man, and he's a good friend of mine now. And he said, you take me. I'm like, take you? I don't know where I'm going. And I'm one of those people where don't have me make any decisions. Just have it planned, and I'll just go. Mm-hmm. And so I start walking, and I stopped at these huge, beautiful trees, and I wrap my arms around them. I am a tree hugger.
Same.
I'll hug anything, actually. So I'm hugging trees. I'm hugging rocks, but I knew that they were the guardians of the land there. And I did hear stories, but I didn't know what ones were the guardians. So I, at the time, I thought I only did Reiki. So I put my hands on these trees, and I was talking to Gaia and apologizing to her for everything that's going on in the earth and how I'm here to help. So I did that on each one of the trees. Well, then he looked at me, Pierre looked at me and goes, how did you know? And I said, I don't really know. I kind of just feel like they're the ones. And then I said, but I have more to do. And he goes, you do? And I said, see those rocks there? I said, those are guardians too. And I got on the ground, and I held on to the rocks, and I did the prayers into each one of the rocks. And he's like, I didn't realize. And he's like, you're right. So then we walk back there, and I knew which ways to go to get back there. And as we walk up, he said, can you tell where the doorway is? And I pointed to this tree, and at the bottom of the tree was like a dead section, but it almost looked like a little troll door. So I went over there, and I wrapped my arms around it, and then I put my ear on it, and I started doing our breath work. Mm-hmm. And I knocked on it 3 times. 3 times. So a total of 9 times. And he goes, I see it now. And he goes, I didn't know it was a doorway. He goes, I'll show you the other doorway. So he shows me like this cave. And I'm sitting there, and in my mind I'm thinking, I'm coming back tomorrow when nobody's with me. I just need to sit in there. I need to do my breath work. I need to do some meditations and prayers in that doorway. So we did our work in there. He was like, let's meditate together. So we did it. And then when he left, I got in my car, and I knew I was coming back the next day. Well, when I came back the next day, I have a connection with Little Flower Saint Teresa. I've always, I shouldn't say always, maybe for the last 12 years, she's been something in my life, and she had gifts very young, but she's not the same as Saint Teresa. So I have this prayer in my car, and it's something about picking a rose out of her peace garden. So when I pulled in to go do my own meditation without nobody knew I was coming back. I said good morning to the guardians, and I hugged them again and went back there. And literally it's a 5-minute walk from where my car is. And I looked at the cave, and I just took a couple really deep breaths. And I walked in, and I turned around, and I sat down, and I looked to my left. Ooh, here it comes. And there's this rose sitting there. And there's no roses around. And it's not a real rose. It's somebody's hair clip. It wasn't there the day before. But I said that prayer before I got out of my car. I squeezed myself as far as I could get back there. And I actually told Telos, if I am needed in there, please take me. I'm willing to go in and I'm willing to help, which is odd because I used to be afraid of stuff like that, but I offered myself. And to see that rose sitting there was like, okay, I know I'm on the right path. I know I'm doing the right things. And that night I fell asleep underneath the full moon. And I always have to go to the bathroom. I started fighting myself. I'm not going to get up to go to the bathroom. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Let me sleep. I remember the argument in my head. And I got up and I look and there's a red glow throughout my whole car. And I look outside and the sky's red. The moon was red. Mm-hmm. Everything was red. I got out of my car. I was jumping around. I'm like, oh my God, thank you for waking me up. Mm-hmm. And I think that night I got some more gifts sleeping underneath that full moon. And the next day I'm like, okay, I never know where I'm going. And I met another man, Kenji, and he wanted to do some energy work on me. And he's like, and I could feel he wasn't open to me at first. I could feel he put this brick wall in front of us. So I actually saw him on the mountain. I heard pull over here, and I pulled over and I parked underneath a tree, and I thought I'll just sit here for a few minutes and then I'm going to go. And he comes walking and he looks at me, and I did a breathwork session with him the night before. And he goes, how long you been sitting here? And I said, maybe 5 minutes. And he goes, I got to tell you, I don't hike. And he's like, see my car way down there? And I'm like, yeah. And he's not in hiking clothes. He goes, something made me come down this road, because I literally pulled down a road and parked underneath a tree. And he comes walking and he goes, I think we were supposed to meet. And so he offered me some energy work, and he said, let's go to Ascension Mound. So he took me, and we did some breath work together on this. It was like a rock formation. And it looked like Fred Flintstone's house. It was really cool. So we're sitting there, and he talked my body down, and I felt me completely flip over. And I told him, once again, I'm up on top of this thing. I said, don't let me fall off of here. And as he's doing his stuff, I can hear him. And it was almost like prayers, like your prayers. And in my mind, I saw the brightest white arm I've ever seen. It was so bright, it almost like burnt my eyes. And in the arm was a sapphire. I think that's how it was a purple ball. Mm-hmm. And it's got like white, almost like lightning going through it. And it's just spinning. And this arm, this beautiful white arm, is in my face. And it's up against my face. And it's almost like, take this. Here's your gift. Mm-hmm. And finally, somehow, because my body was completely over, my mind must have took that sphere from him. Or I'm assuming in my heart, I believe it was God.
Mm-hmm. It's without sex. So we would call that in our tradition, Wiracocha, and that's what the purple light is. It's organizing energy that you're taking in. It's beautiful healing. Yeah. So anything that's out of balance in the body, if you call in that kind of energy like you were receiving, I usually get orbs too, or spheres. I get those too. And I'll take them and I'll bring them into my heart. Usually the guides will tell me where to take them, put it into my head, eat it. Whatever it is, it shows up. And what that is, that's medicine, and that can harmonize your energy, bring forward gifts, coherence, tuning.
And I'll tell you, after that, I woke up with like lightning coming out of my fingers.
Nice.
Yeah, it was insane. Like, I knew that they had given me something, and I have to a lot of times I have to hold my fingertips together because it almost feels like it's just draining out all over the floor. Mm-hmm. So I just hold them together. But being in Mount Shasta, and I was only there for a couple days, but I ended up getting some beautiful gifts from there. So when I got back to Sedona, I couldn't wait to start trying it on people. And I would put my fingers on it, and I can feel my fingers actually run through their body. Yeah, and it's like it goes through and it pulls everything out and it throws it into the universe. Like I try never to bring it back into me, but I think that trip going to Mount Shasta, the energy in Mount Shasta compared to Sedona is different. In Sedona, I want to run around and heal everybody and take care of everybody and play. I want to play.
It's supposed to be play.
Yeah. I've never really played. Like I was so serious all my life.
Me too.
Yeah, I was so serious all my life. I was born an adult.
Right.
Like, and I wanted to control everybody and everything and make sure that
Makes you feel safe.
yes, and I that way I wouldn't get hurt if I could
Yeah.
control everything.
Right. And then as soon as you stop trying to control everything, you start having the time of your life. And all your
Exactly.
gifts wake up. And
Yeah. So Sedona did that for me. Like I'm still in play mode when I'm there. I love
Yeah.
it. But I had to teach myself to skip. I didn't even know how to skip when I was in Sedona. Like I'm like, for some reason, I'm like, okay, I got to learn to dance. I got to learn to skip.
yeah.
I got to learn to talk to people. I got to learn to have fun, and I'm doing it. But that's what I do in Sedona. Mount Shasta, which I am planning another trip back to Mount Shasta, probably back in the beginning of September again. They had a community center there that I was very connected to. I think it was called Soul Connection. And the bottom part is this beautiful mystical shop with the most beautiful lady that ran it. The upstairs was the community center where they would have like, kind of like our kava bar here. Sorry, I called it ours. I just took
It's everybody's.
Oh, good.
It's ours.
We're all one being.
Okay. It's like this. And it was such a beautiful community there, and these people. But I plan on going back. But the energy there for me is more sit and work on yourself and go inward. So I felt I could have done more, but I felt like I was doing more inner work for myself. But while I was there, the reason I think I was there, I met a man. I went to say boy because my children are 28, 27, and 21. I am going to be a grandma. I'm going to be Gigi. But I met this man named Daniel. He's in his mid-20s, and he was telling his story at this community center, and my eyes locked with him as he was telling his story. Everybody had to tell a little bit of their story, and his story caught me for some reason. And they went to the next person. There's probably 30 of us in the room, and I kept going back to him. So at the end, he was in a mountain bike accident, and he flipped over his bike and ended up in a creek. And he said since 2018, he's been in so much pain that it's hard for him to even want to live. You know, he's a struggle to be in that much pain all the time. So at the end, I said to him, I'm just going to offer this up to you. I do Reiki. At the time, I didn't know I was gifted more while I was there. I said, I do Reiki, and I feel like I might be able to help you if you're open to that. And he's like, oh, I would love that. And so he actually set it up to the house he was staying in. They had a energy room, and he never had energy work done, which I thought was kind of crazy because he does the didgeridoo. He did the didgeridoo, the guitar, and he sang at the same time. All of it.
Wow.
I mean, this boy is talented, and his music was opening up channels for me. So he was healing through that, like he was healing the room through that. And I did a session on him, and it was moving. Like, I don't always remember everything that happens, but with me and him, I was able to help him. The next day, he wrote me a song, a poem song, and it was one of the first times I was able to see somebody standing in front of me that wasn't actually there. And as I played it, I was on sacred lands up on top of Mount Shasta, and I played his poem, and I could see him, and I could hear, good boy, I'm so proud of you. I love you so much. And it was like my soul was talking to him, and I just started crying because I could feel the healings happening for him. But I think that's what, to go back to when I was in the hot springs with that lady that had the download that said I was needed there. Oh, I'm getting full body chills right now. I think I was there to help Daniel with what he was struggling with. And then he helped me see that I was able to do this for people. Because that was, his poem was very moving, and it felt like he was my child. A lot of times I feel like everybody I work on, they put so much unconditional love through me, and it goes into them, and I feel like I love them automatically, and they're my children, and I have to explain to them, like, I'm so sorry, like, because I will tell complete strangers, I love you, I care about you, like, you know, and I'll be like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you don't understand where I'm coming from, but I think that's the energy I got from Mother Mary, that everybody's my child, and I'm just giving them the love that they haven't ever felt before. So, so I knew why, back to that, I knew why as soon as I met Daniel, I knew I was there for a reason. So I helped him heal, you know, and I still keep, heal. Yeah. And
I need divine reciprocity.
And I still hear from him every once in a while. We touch base. Most of the people that I've helped, we touch base, and Mount Shasta was a big awakening for me, because even when I was there, the last day I was there, Pierre, one of the men that took me to the doorway and stuff, he texted me and he said, are you going to go to the psychic fair? And I'm like, no, I'd probably move on. He's like, I think you should come. I said, okay. And I knew I still needed to dip in the waters, which I was not excited about, dipping in the waters of Mount Shasta. The water was 34 degrees. And I knew Tony and Mary were both telling me, you know, cold showers, and I tried. And so I dipped that day. I went down to the psychic fair, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. It's 70 degrees outside, and I dipped 3 times under the water of Mount Shasta, and I turned all red, and my body was pretty much in shock. And I walked into that psychic fair, and like I said, I meet a lot of people. So Charlie, one of my good friends, he was there, and I literally just met him there. And he works with Archangel Michael, and he's got abilities too. And he looked at me, he goes, sit down. He goes, let me work on you. You're right with that? I'm like, yeah. Some of the psychics came over and started telling me things, and they were realigning me to my body. And I walked outside, and I met another healer, and he's like, can I work on you? I'm like, yes. Like, I accepted everything that was offered to me that day. And I felt another, I don't know if it would be, not an upload. I leveled up, I felt like. Does that make sense?
Upgrade.
Yeah, an upgrade. I felt stronger. My abilities got stronger then.
Yeah. When you notice that little shift, like, oh,
yeah,
I'm different than I was before.
Yeah. And at the same time, it was very funny because I knew I had that gypsy spirit in me. And this lady was there selling these gypsy skirts. And I'm like, ooh, I can't leave without one of those.
Yeah.
That's going to be fun to play in. So, yeah, Mount Shasta was a huge opener for me. So I get called places. And I've been listening and then going. So I made it back to Sedona, and then I spread the healings in Sedona. You know, I try to help as many people as I can. My experiences are insane. I love them. They're always shamans that show up in my path, or Reiki masters, or it's always something that I need.
Yeah, medicine people.
Yeah.
You're vibrating in a space where you'll attract them to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like as you're attracting your life to you, everything that's happening needs to happen to get you to where you're going.
Yeah.
So you've been everywhere. You've been like everywhere but the electric chair in the last year and a couple months, you know?
Some days I
Quite a
feel
story.
like I'm in the electric chair. I'm like, zzz.
Yeah. So for me...
Johnny Cash song, I've been everywhere, man.
Oh, and I love Johnny Cash.
Yeah. I forgot what I was going to ask you.
I know, I'm all over the board. I have so many stories, like
so many.
Yeah, and the people I lay my hands on when I get the confirmations. Oh, when I was in Mount Shasta, there's this beautiful woman, Amber, and it's the first time this actually happened to me. I thought I was going to get kicked out of the psychic fair because I'm working on people, you know, and people pay to have booths there. And so there's this one girl, and I put my hands on her, And this is the first time I felt this. I asked her if she was open to this, and she's like, yeah. And she's like, I could use it. And I felt her struggle, and I pulled back, and I said, oh, honey. And then in another voice, I said, you're digging your own grave. And I was like, whoa. But it kind of scared me, like, whoa, I've never heard that before. And I went to say sorry, and at the same time, I grabbed her wrists. And I said, I'm sorry I said that. And I grabbed her wrist, and she's like, how did you know how to do that? And I'm like, do what? And she's like, she was thinking about killing herself. Mm-hmm. And I covered her wrists right away. And she told me. And then whatever happened, I just kept going with the healing with her. And we talked. But, I mean, that woman opened up something for me, and I opened up something for her. And she reaches out to me all the time, and I reach out to her all the time. Mm-hmm. We haven't seen each other since, but she is on my list of I'm going to make it happen to where I can see her again. Mm-hmm. But she said that I helped save her that day. Mm-hmm. And in a way, she helped save me because, you know, I was still questioning my abilities. Like, do I really have these abilities? Is it in my head? Because living in Sedona, as beautiful as it is, it feels like a movie most of the time. I constantly feel like I'm in Harry Potter or Men in Black or Pretty Woman. That's a whole nother
I feel
issue.
that way here because of
You do?
Well, of course. All I do all day, every day is be a shaman.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, so for me, it's same thing. And that's why I was going to ask you time. So how long does it feel like to you since the day at our house until now?
Oh my gosh, it went so fast.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's fast?
It's like so incredibly fast. And I feel like I've lived lifetime.
That's the question. Do you how long? How much do you think's happened? Like, because for me, sometimes a week or two could feel like 100 years of spiritual expansion.
Oh my gosh, if I look at it that way, I mean, okay, I feel like
it happened fast, but it's so long, right?
Yeah, but it's for me, it's moving too fast because I'm enjoying it so much that like the moments that are beautiful, I don't want to stop, you know?
Just keep creating new ones.
Yeah, exactly. And I do, I sink into my mind every once in a while. I let my 3D self take over, and I'm trying to learn not to do that because I don't want to go backwards.
Well, you can't. It's impossible. Yeah. So don't worry. That's also the mind trying to take, you know, because like you said, you're still young in terms of energy and things, but you're evolving very quickly. And it's perfect. It's brought you here, right to here, so we can talk about your story.
And you're going to be the priestess at Moshi Sedona.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I would love that.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Because we have to expand everywhere, and you have the thing to help that.
From the day that I pulled
You got it, girl.
I will take it.
You do it, girl. Yeah.
From the day I pulled in Sedona, the people that actually have gifts there would tell me, do you understand how fast you're ascending? Like, they're ascending you so fast. And I would be like, nope.
Yeah, we're three people that's like, cause it's like that for Dave. It's like that for me. Ascension happens super quickly. Yeah. It's because you're walking into it without fear.
Yeah, none.
Yeah, so long as you're not afraid, it just keeps happening. It doesn't mean that you're not going to have challenges. Yeah. The ego mind or 3D mind takes over sometimes. Me too. It just doesn't last long, and I have all the tools I need to go through it, and I actually love it. Like when it happens, I accept it. Like, well, it has to be this way for me to learn, and everything leads us where we need to go. That's why everything's led to you, even here. You're here now. And like this has been like a spiritual pilgrimage for you to come here. You've made all these connections here with new people. Yeah. Just in the last few times I've seen you here in this kava bar, hands on everyone. Yes. Jodi hot hands.
Yes.
Learning everyone, connecting with everyone, and that's beautiful. And then before you leave, we're going to get to have a session with you in Jane's barn.
Yeah, I can't
and the Sunrise Barn.
I can't wait.
Oh, I can't wait for you to feel the energy there.
I will tell you, like being here, I love it. I love it in this building, and but having a line of people that are waiting for me. I'm like, what is that? Like, and I try not to let it go to my ego, because I know it's not me. I know they're working through me and I can feel them, but I am so proud.
But it feels so good.
Yeah,
and it's okay to feel that. It's okay to feel happy and proud. It's just never letting the mind think it's above.
Right.
Yeah, because it's easy for that to happen.
Yeah.
Especially when you see how happy everyone is after you work with them.
Yeah.
And the ego mind wants to go, I'm so good. Or mine wants to always try to interject with things like, you're so smart. Look at you. I'm like, right. Come on. That's the channel.
Right.
And I have to cut it down. Like, look, it's okay, man. You are smart and it's okay. But this is a channel.
Yeah. I always remind myself, like, I'm just blessed. I'm so blessed to have this vessel that they chose. Like, they didn't have to choose me. And at one point, that was one of my questions. Like, Mother Mary came to me, and I questioned why. Why would you pick me? Like, I didn't know anything.
Yeah, that's me asking. That's the ego mind asking, because I knows, because I is all things. I chose. You chose.
Yeah.
Who you really are. Jody's your personality. So that's who's asking. That's the little. So that's just parts of our mind as a kind of, when we ascend really fast, there's some people that ascend other ways that go through all that mindset stuff and the ego dissolutions long before their energy grows.
Okay.
We're kind of backwards kind of people in certain ways that our energy is growing a lot faster than that full dissolution is happening for some people.
Well, and I woke up with that question. So, like, in the morning in Sedona, I woke up like, why did you pick me? Just somebody came at me about my gifts, and I was doing it in public because I feel very safe doing it in public now, and I'm okay with people that don't accept it, and I'm all right with that. So, but at this point, I still didn't understand. So I asked, I'm like, why did you give me these gifts, God? I was pretty much begging him. Just give me a reason. I just don't understand why you picked me. Because I didn't understand even when I got Magdalene. I had to actually look her up and listen to videos about her. I knew of her, but I don't understand any of that. So the whole way home from Mount Shasta, I listened to video after video about her.
It's the feminine, so I'll explain to you. Like, so for you, it shows up as a being and all those things. But really what it is the divine living energy of the Christ. Okay. So Jesus was a man. Christ is a frequency of consciousness. Okay. So as all things that are in this reality polarized, there's a divine feminine and a divine masculine side. Okay. But both of them are Christ. So mine shows up to me as Yeshua, as Jesus. Like, that's one of my primary guides. Very common for women to connect to Mary or Mary Magdalene, as those are both Christic light in the feminized form.
Oh.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's your feminine divine consciousness. And it's good that it shows up as a being, because I always tell people that I work a lot with people with spirit guide connection. And the thing is allowing whatever shows up to be it. Not trying to create your guide, letting your guide show itself to you. And it can show up in any way.
I felt her come in. And when I do my energy work, I always pull holy white light from Mary, and then I pull holy water to flush anything that's in your body out of your body from Magdalene. It's like, it's just what they're telling me or what I feel, But, I forgot why I was telling you that. Oh, because they chose me. I couldn't figure out why. So
you chose you.
Yeah. Yes. But I didn't understand why. And I actually had a lady come up to me that day because I was begging God to tell me why you chose me. And I had a lady come up and she said, do you know what a prophet is? And I said, I kind of do. They walked with Jesus. I said, that's what I know. And she goes, yeah, but they weren't religious. And he was able to sculpt them like clay in the way he needed them to work for him, to heal others. And as soon as she said that, like, I'm getting it again, it hit. Like,
see how it all lines up, even what I was just saying?
Exactly. Yeah. And it was like I needed that message because I was questioning again. And I needed that message, and this beautiful lady like explained it to me. I didn't ask her. She just explained it, and then I thought, okay, I asked God for that morning. Please just let me know why you chose me.
And there it is.
And there it was. And it made total sense. Like I wasn't formed into a religion. So now I'm able to be a complete open channel. It's kind of the way I look at it, So But yeah,
It was time for you to be formed into the formation in which you're meant to be energetically to bring the Christic light into this reality.
Yes.
That's the rising of consciousness. Every time you put your hands on someone, that's really what's happening. You're altering the way that they're taking in information from the cosmos, opening up their consciousness. That's the deepest levels of healing. That's exactly what happened to you at our home when you came with those other women. And it was just the right setup for you to connect to Christ, for you to connect to the highest level of consciousness. And bring us, and that's what we're all connecting out into the world. That's what Moshi's here for. That's what all these things are for. And I don't, Christ, I like to use the word, and some people get it confused with religion because people think Jesus Christ means the same thing.
Right.
Jesus was a man. Christ is a form of consciousness in which he possessed, which is available to all of us. And that's what the second coming of Christ is. It's not a guy going to drop out of the sky and be like, hey, you guys all need to love each other and be nice to each other. It's going to happen from inside of us. It's going to grow and proliferate. Just like Jesus or Yeshua said in his time, what I can do, you will do, and more.
Wow.
And then when you get it, the more you give it away,
Yeah.
the more you get it.
Right.
Yes.
That's why you're compelled to give it away.
Systemic.
I did
Yeah.
say that. I said, when I work on people, I feel so energized.
Me too.
And I don't want to stop.
Nope.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So, like, while I'm in Sedona, I literally just walk around the streets. And I go in, I have there's 2 mystical shops there. CeeLo Connection is one of them, and a wonderful woman, Kate, owns that. I can't wait until you guys come and visit.
We'll be there soon.
Yes.
And she's like a soul mom to me. So that store in the New Age Center, and I go in there and I work on people all the time. But the energy that I get back, it's like another gift for myself. So, but yeah, I love it. I love this new life. I love everything. I feel like I'm doing my part now.
You sure
I wasn't for so long, but now I am. They actually tell me I can work through just my eyes. And I get sent into very crowded places, which before I could not handle crowded places at all. And I understand now that I can feel energy, and I think that's one reason why. For years, I thought I was schizophrenic. I thought I was schizophrenic, and I thought I was a hypochondriac.
So everybody thinks that's energy.
I heard a voice, and I didn't know it was my own voice telling me what to do, and I fought it because what it was telling me to leave and start life over. I didn't want to do that. So that was part of the part that I thought I was schizophrenic. And
because I was talking and me was resisting. Because I is the higher mind, me is the ego mind.
And I didn't know there was, I didn't understand
Right,
that.
not yet.
Now I'm like, oh yeah, I know what's going on, Like I call them all together, let's work together on this now, Let's have a team meeting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I thought I was schizophrenic, and I thought I was a hypochondriac for years, but I didn't realize I was feeling everybody's stuff. So I had a hard time going into like amusement parks, or I never did concerts, like stuff like that where there's too many people. Now I'm like, I'm sent to these places.
Same.
And I was told to make sure that I make eye contact with every person in the room. That's really hard to do, especially when you're like, I used to be very shy, so, but if they're looking down, I literally look down and say, good morning or good afternoon or whatever it is, just so that they look at me. And they said that I can plant the seeds of healing through my eyes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so I went to a goth convention in Las Vegas, and I had to do that every day. So I think we were there 3 days. And I would walk up and down every aisle at least a couple times throughout the day and say hi to every single person there. And I would work on people there. But it was funny because I could feel the heaviness there. Like there's people carrying around devil heads. And And I felt like I just needed to bring in some light into there. So I know I was sent there for a reason too.
Everywhere you go.
Everywhere I go.
Everywhere you
Yep,
go.
yep, I'll
Everywhere you
take
go. So what's going on now? I seen that you got some cards. You got some cards. You're starting to like kind of get yourself out there, offering some
Yeah.
healing and stuff.
I did. I started making business cards just recently. I've decided I'm not working, so I've been playing pretty much since February, and I need to start making a living for myself.
Mhm.
So I made business cards, and I'm going to do healings with my hands, and I'm going to help people. And I mean, that's what I've been doing since
Yeah.
February, but I also have to be able to afford or
To live,
afford.
right.
Yeah. to
Everybody,
live.
all healers, all great healers run into that same
Yeah.
thing. You know, I want to do everything I can
Yeah.
for free, and I do so much for free.
Yes.
But there's things I have to do to be able to create abundance, not only for myself, but I need to figure out how to create large amounts of abundance to facilitate change.
Exactly.
Right.
And I've learned that I don't need much to be happy.
Not for me.
I mean, I
Yeah.
sold
Well, shit, you can live in a car
That's
for
what I was gonna say.
150 days.
Yep. I sold 90% of all of my belongings.
Yeah.
I got in my car and I left and I started over, like
Uh-huh.
I know that
You can do anything.
Yeah. And like I said, I do love gold. So I do have an issue with some things still in gypsy
shiny.
skirts.
Yeah, it's a gypsy blood.
But yeah, I don't need much to live.
Mm-mm.
I'm very, very happy in this life, in this new life.
Mhm. There's a
So,
new one coming.
Yeah, I'll take it all. But I've realized that, if I can help at the same time, I do need to charge. I do need to do
Yeah.
some things.
Energy
so that
exchange.
and
Otherwise, you're
energy.
off balance.
Yes.
Mhm.
And people they offer me beautiful things too. That's
Yeah.
not always monetary, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is great.
There's other ways, right? Energy exchange can
Exactly.
happen in many ways.
Yeah.
Just monetary seems it's kind of a common one.
I'm very blessed with that. So I finally made my cards, and right before I left Sedona, I went down to the wineries. There's I think it's called DA Ranch, maybe DA Ranch, but they have a lot of wineries in Sedona. And I went down there, and I love it. There's a swing there, and one of my good friends, Bo, he was down there, and he drives vans for like wine tours. And another guy, Jim, he drives vans for wine tours. And I was down there working on people again, just hanging out, working on people, and Bo is down there. And I think that that is going to be one of my things, helping out when the wine tours come. I got my cards, or going down to the wineries and starting to work on people. I just feel this urge to actually start my business. Like, not just go and do what I'm called, but also have the business at the same time.
And you're right in the right place, because now here you are becoming affiliated with the Ministry of Shamanic Healing and Integration.
Yeah.
And you can become our primary person there in Sedona and start to spread this, start to open this up,
Yeah.
because now you'll have all the support behind you.
Yeah.
you
And
know?
I have such a good support system in Sedona.
Mhm.
Like, I've met everybody and their brother,
Of course.
especially their animals, I'm like, so I do have such a great community there.
Yeah.
That,
Good.
yeah.
That's great. So
this
it'll
is
work
a
out good when we come there and we start doing
Oh, yeah.
functions.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. I'm cheating.
Yeah.
I've seen the visions,
You've
but
seen it?
yeah, but
Yeah.
it's going to be great. It's
Yeah.
going to be so much fun for us to come there and get that together. And I can't wait to see what happens next for you. What happens next? 'Cause
too.
I already have a really strong awareness of the healing session we're going to do here before you go back home.
I'm very
It's
excited.
going to open up something new. There's no mistakes. Everything opens up and happens for a
I'm
reason.
very, very excited.
So I'm super excited, because what that's going to do is start to lay the groundwork for your next part of your journey,
Yeah.
because it's kind of where you're at now,
Yeah.
and that's where people get. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. Because I some days I'm like, okay, and I overthink it.
Yeah.
Although I know that this is my book, and one chapter just ended again. Like, I keep flipping through
One
these.
door opens, many
Yeah.
more open.
Moshi
Yeah.
worldwide. Wide.
Yeah.
Yep. I love it, Mochi.
Moshi.
But I feel like
worldwide.
maybe that's a chapter in my book, but every time I turn around, like even coming home here to Ohio, I feel like I just closed another chapter.
Yeah.
And a new one just started
Yep.
again. And these chapters keep coming and I learn, some of them aren't easy. You're right.
No, they shouldn't be.
No.
They need to be.
And I don't want, when I post, I do post on my Facebook and on my Instagram. When I post, I do post some of the hard things because I don't want everybody thinking it looks like I'm having a great life. I am.
You are. But
It's
you're also sharing your
beautiful.
challenges, which is real.
That's it.
Right.
I don't want people thinking.
That's medicine too.
Yeah, don't think it's super easy for me what I went through, but I'm taking the steps to better myself. Like I want those.
You wouldn't trade it for
feelings.
nothing.
I wouldn't trade. No, I would not trade this for nothing. Like
Me either.
this is just, yeah.
Yeah, me
This
either.
this is my magic.
It sure is, and you're very magical.
Thank you. I feel it.
Yeah.
I won't downgrade it anymore. Before I would, I can feel it, and
You know
what
the
I-
truth now.
yeah, what I feel coming through me is,
Divine light.
yeah, it's a miracle.
It is.
It is.
I agree. Wow.
I
I agree.
was completely blessed the day you guys brought me into that room.
Yeah, and
I
so
was-
were we.
Yeah, I love you guys.
And so were we.
And every time I meet all these new people, and I'm like, okay, I got more family.
Yeah.
Like this is family.
Feel that all over.
These people,
Growing and growing.
yeah,
and
these
growing.
people won't hurt me.
No,
like
we're here to love
do you.
you.
Know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I've been through so much, and even with blood hurts you sometimes.
Yeah.
And I do feel like the people that are coming to me now, I think they know they would never hurt me, and I would never hurt them.
We're all here to love each other.
Yeah. And that's for me. I never want to hurt anybody.
Yeah.
Like that was always my biggest fear.
Not intentionally.
No.
There's
I would-
times I do, but I accept it as part of my medicine
Yeah.
gift as well. Sometimes triggering has to happen.
Yes, the trigger. That's a good way to explain
Yeah,
it.
so I talk about it this way. I say my medicine works in two ways. Either I'm going to force you to think one way or another, and either it's going to inspire you
Yeah.
or it's going to trigger you.
Yeah.
Both are medicine.
That is a good way of saying that.
Your
It's the way my
triggers are your
guides told me.
medicine, Yeah.
Because I had guilt. I carried guilt for a while because some of the communication, which also is part of me learning how to improve my communication. It's because my channel is so strong and my intellect moves so quickly that I can find the answer really quickly before I allow the person to release all that they need to release. And I actually might slow them down. So it's something in our tradition I'm learning more and more to practice. It's called sitwa. And sitwa is basically passive but active listening. It's like a passive listening, almost like allowing an opening, a ball of energy to open into the person, a sacred space for them to, it's like a sense of confessional, allowing them to, you're like kind of coaxing them into releasing what they need to release and then giving them the medicine. So I had more of a history in the past, and there's just people like that. When we're very quick into getting into things, we can see the answer really fast and kind of jump into the way. So
Yeah,
that's
we
learning.
just had a
that.
conversation about that.
Yeah, about
yesterday.
sitwa. Yeah, sitwa is important. I mean,
I was doing the same thing.
yeah, it's totally normal. It's not a bad.
Sometimes I'm a little stern with it because I know when I trigger, and when
Yeah.
I trigger, it's almost like, "Are you hearing me?"
Yeah.
Like, but I need to.
just dial
I do
back.
sugarcoat.
Got to be love.
Yeah.
It's always. I always know right away if I'm in the wrong frequency. Like I was working with one of my students the other day, and we did this pen and paper exercise. It's called the 5 universal shapes. And with these shapes, it kind of can give you a layout of how your mind's working and all kinds of stuff like that. But what you're not supposed to do is overthink it. You're supposed to take these 5 shapes. I give you 5 shapes, and I tell you to arrange them in order that feels right to you. And so it's just intuition. You're intuitively setting them up. And it's like tarot cards in a way. It sets up a framework in which for things to happen. Well, one of my students, she was overthinking. She like switched them. Should this be here? Should that be here? Like, just go with it. Don't
Yeah.
overthink it. And so she didn't do that the right way. So my ego was like, we didn't do it right. Maybe you should throw it away and do it again. And I was like, hold on. I asked my spirit guide, and my guide was like, oh no, everything that happens is just right. It's you that think it's wrong. I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense. And it said, but do tell her about her overthinking, but don't tell her to redo the exercise. So it's an awareness that happens. So that's where now I'm getting better and better at connecting into my higher mind or my spiritual guidance. And that's one of my primary teachings with people now, is opening that up.
That's neat. I'm going to have to try that one with you.
Yeah, I'm going to show it to you.
As soon as you said that, I started coming up with shapes.
Just through this, it's been a beautiful interview because through here, I picked up all kinds of things I can feel in me that are molding to help your medicine, to help you grow your medicine. Because that's my primary thing.
Yeah.
We can call it healings, but really all I'm doing is helping people organize informational energy coming through their being.
Yeah.
And that's what we're all doing. And then we call it planting seeds or connecting lines. Both of those mean the same thing. We're creating that. Because what happens when you plant a seed? It grows in what? Yeah. Roots come off of it and connect. Same thing. Lines do the same thing, these energy lines.
I felt so many of your emotions while you were telling your stories.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, you're definitely a great radiator. And so your next phase, I'm pretty sure, is going to be you learning how to be a perfect absorber.
Okay.
Absorbing when someone wants to give to you, because that's love. Yeah. And you have to be open to receive the love, is what it is. I've had a terrible time learning how to do that. So, but it's given me a lot of practice and ability to help people learn how to do it.
And you're right, because I can put up walls when I need to. And as soon as I feel like there's a chance of me getting hurt, I'm ready to drive.
I'm out of here.
Like, I'm out of here. Yep.
Defense
Put me in the
mechanism.
car and let me go. So I am learning to accept love and the gifts people are giving me.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong.
No, I know.
Part of the growth.
I know I'm ready for it. You know
sure
what I mean?
are.
I'm ready for all of it.
Yeah, I love when you say that. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Bring it all.
I'm
ready for
Bring
all
it
of
on. I'm ready.
I'm ready to change the world. Let's go.
Exactly.
Yeah. Me too.
And that's what I tell people. I just want a happy, happy world. Like, you know, I cut out TV, I cut out the news, I cut out all of that. And as soon as I did, I felt change. And I'm like, okay, like, you know, I'd rather feel like this and change the world this way than listen to that and be like, oh, can you believe? No, nope.
That's part of the design. The design is to keep us, we are basically building the world they want us to build.
Put your attention on the things that you don't want to happen.
Exactly.
Wherever your attention goes, your energy flows. So whatever you give attention to, you give more power to.
Yeah.
And you're very powerful, so you have to be careful, Miss Jodi.
Thank you. I was swirling my hand around the other day, and a friend of mine said, don't do that. And he goes, I feel that. But I was just playing. I'm like, watch this. He's like, be careful where you point that. But I did. I swirled my hand.
Jodi Hot Hands.
And I went like this. Yeah. And he's like, do you know what you're doing? I'm like, not really, but
it feels good.
Yeah. Like,
and that's all that matters.
Exactly.
But. Great, Jodi. That's great. I would ask you where people can find you or have a website or anything like that, but you're not quite there yet, but you will be.
I have Instagram. I think it's
Instagram.
I think it's
follow Jodi on Instagram and her awesome story.
Yeah, I think it's JMUELLER 4291.
Well, what you can do, Jodi, is we'll take it and we'll put it on the description of the video.
Oh, okay.
So
perfect.
People can find you in some sort
I try to put all my stories up there just so people see, like, and they can kind of see if they've never been to these places. You know, I walk through places and I get people on tape, and just so that they can see my experiences and what I'm going through and how life changed for me once I started not overthinking. Yeah. And letting go of things that I was trying to hold on so tightly to. Yeah. You know, like, I have a beautiful life. I want people to see that they could have a beautiful life too. And it's not all about the material things.
It's absolutely not about the material things. The material things just kind of show up if you're happy, and they don't matter. They come, they go. It's just money. You'll make more or whatever.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm just here to have fun.
And I get it. It's a struggle, but you know what? Yeah. It was worth it. It's
always
totally worth it. And I feel that all good things are coming to me, and that I'm not going to have to worry about it. Like, I don't even worry about it now.
What's the point?
Exactly. For what reason? Why am I worried?
I'll make it. I made it here. I'll keep going.
Exactly. And I just don't have I shouldn't say always. I don't have the I wants anymore. I want a big house. I want a big car. You know, I do want I would like a bigger car to sleep in.
Yeah, that's okay.
But my back's
I mean,
hurting.
Yeah, I mean that's a really legitimate
Yes,
kind
yes.
of thing.
So I
like,
don't-
well, I would like a better van so I could travel and not, be a huge consumer.
Exactly.
I think that's really beautiful.
So I do have a couple I wants,
That's
but
okay.
not like the old I wants. So
Yeah, not those desires that make you. Those are the desires that everyone's taught to go for, the
Yeah.
American dream,
Yeah.
and we find self-worth through those things.
Yep. Yep.
Like I did.
Right.
Like I was like, I
Yeah.
got to work and make money so everybody around me thinks I'm successful.
Yeah. And the question you always ask people is, "What do you do?"
Well, why do we
Why?
do that?
Why do we ask?
Because
that
we're
question?
trying to figure out how much respect to give.
Yeah.
Like, so what do you do for a living?
Yeah.
And you're like, if you're a doctor, like,
Determines your worth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
psychological worth.
Yeah.
But it means nothing at all.
Right. Right.
It means not a thing.
Yeah,
at all.
because I mean, I literally
How
say,
deep the program goes, really.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I literally, I mean, now, I hate to say it, I say nothing right now.
Yeah.
You know,
Like, I'm love.
yeah,
That's what I do.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you do? I love the world, and
Yeah,
that's what I do.
yeah. I go around and
Like, I'm a being of light. I'm
Being
saying
of
I'm a
light, yeah.
being of light.
yeah.
Star Child.
Yeah.
Say whatever you want.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Tell them, I'm a president of the United States. Whatever.
Yes.
How much respect will you give me? Yeah.
Maybe I'll be the mayor of Sedona one day.
Yeah. Jody,
I
let's
keep
make it
hearing
happen.
That.
That's perfect. I
Yeah.
love that. I want that to happen. I'm manifesting that.
Are you okay?
Yeah. Jodi Mueller, mayor of Sedona.
That's it.
Vote for me. I would vote for you. I'm Jodi Magic Hands.
Yeah.
I'm Jodi Hot Hands. That would be so cool. So great. Jodi, so before we end this interview, what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if we can have you channel something, okay? I want you to just close your eyes. And I want you to breathe soft. I want you to breathe in soft and let it breathe out soft. In and out soft. And I want you to just channel. I want you to channel the Marys. I want you to ask them to be here with you now. Just bring their light into your soul, into your body, into your mind. And feel that soft vibration move through your body, down through your heart and your tummy, your arms and legs. Being in that flow. We're going to ask them to channel a message. If there was one message or a few words that could be said to the world, what would you say?
Don't let fear hold you back.
Yeah.
Live the life you're supposed to live.
Yeah.
Live the dream. Yeah, I hear, don't be afraid, my child.
Don't be afraid, my child. I feel that too. Thank you. Thank you. Victory and praises to all the beings of light and energies that come into this space to work with us when we ask. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Jodi, thank you so much for blessing us with your presence here.
Thank
And
you.
your
for
loving
having
light.
me.
We're
you.
so proud, so happy to see you on this journey. It makes me so happy because as you feel those are your children in the world, I feel my children in the world, and you're one of my children. And I love you so much.
I love
And I'm so proud of you. I'm
Thank
so
you.
so
Can't wait
excited.
to come see you in
Yeah.
action in Sedona.
Yeah.
Mayor
I
Jodi.
can't
Yeah, we'll be there soon.
Yeah.
I can feel that. We'll be there soon, and
Yeah.
we'll be creating more awesome reality.
Yeah.
And you can show me all these cool places that you've made lines at and introduce me.
Yeah,
Can't wait.
definitely. You guys will love it. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We love you so much.
Love you.
Thank you, Jodi.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much for being here. This is Quantum Shamans, presented by Moshi.
Tune in next week.
Yeah, and visit your local kava bar, and if you're local, come here.
Yeah, beautiful.
And if you are interested in membership with the Ministry of Shamanic Healing and Integration, you can find a link to our membership and the different tiers on our website, moshilove.org.
moshilove.org. Sacred Waters, Positive Pineapple. Jodi, David, I love you all so much.
Love you too.
Love you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
This has been the Quantum Shamans presented by Moshi with David and Anthony. We look forward to seeing you next week for more insight into who you are and your place in the universe.